Welcome back, fellow armchair generals. And if it's just welcome, thanks for coming here. And of course, hit that subscribe button if you're new. Everybody, I want to thank Sir Toyjet, Chief, the Hoffmanator, and all the other people that have over time supported me on Patreon. I really do appreciate it, you guys. You help keep all this stuff going, both the videos as well as the modding endeavor. It does help. But everybody else, if you can just hit that like button, and a few people share it with a friend. I know Arno shares a lot of these on Hoffman, a lot of shares the stuff over on Facebook. We do have if you're into Facebook, he manages the sort of channel fan page over there. But on any sort of social media, if you can tweet this out or something, find one new viewer would be great who might like this. I really do appreciate everyone who does that. That's the kind of stuff I really hope you guys can do. And of course, we are collapsing over here. We are holding in the north and holding in the center. We look like we may be, once the Italians leave, we may be able to keep this fuel supplied enough to hold in the south here. But here we are collapsing, and of course, Finland is not doing well. And we are sending up, where is it? It's probably still way back here. We got some ships headed. We're sending in more forces up to here to hold. Thank you, Arno, if you guys are interested. On Facebook, I really thank Arno for doing it. It's really good. It helps out. I know there's not a lot of people there. I've been there a bunch of times, but I don't check it daily or anything like that. I'm more on Twitter and some other types of social media. Hey, Arno, do you want to maybe, if it's easy for you, to post in both, post the link, an invite to our Discord server, so maybe we get some more people to show up there, either play games with us or whatnot, or just hang out. Okay, Panzer Corps shattered. We lost a province there. That's just retreating back. Oh, we're retreating out of here. Okay. Yeah, no organization, no supply. They're here now. Okay, well, let's find this unit that shattered here. Yeah, okay. Thanks so much, Arno. I do appreciate it. We're hovering right around 200. I think it's just under 200 people on the Discord server. And we'd like more people to hang out. We got voice chat channels, so you can, because I'm on there a bunch. Normally when I'm like playing War Thunder or something. And a few times I've even done special shows for, broadcast, over Discord. Discord exclusives, as it were. Let's see. Yeah, what's the supply situation here? What? It says we have supplies. Don't know why we don't have supplies here. Yeah, okay. Just leave Finland, it's lost. Well, okay, I hear your point, but once it's done, all these units here are either going to start slamming up into, here, and we're going to then lose this, which we may lose this anyways, but we'll lose this faster. But once this is all done, they're going to come somewhere else and attack. So I might as well, for now, keep it going. And now I'm not going to, now here might be a case where we have enough supply. Might be a case for where I should move or should have moved the armor that's down here. Now, most of this armor is crappy French armor, and maybe I could let this upgrade here. But you'll see a lot of this armor is French model, so it's only going to upgrade somewhat, I think. But maybe more than I think, I don't know. So we'll see about that. Here's a question. How motorized was the Soviets compared to Germany? I don't have a good comparison for that. I'm going to say probably about the same. The primary transport for Germany were two types of transport. One, the horse, but really the primary transport for Germany was the railroad. A lot of people don't really take that into account, but the railroad. And transport is not just how a division gets from point A to point B. Definitely when you're moving a division from, say, France to the Eastern Front, it's going on the railroad. We all know that. And it's definitely a division is either walking or driving or riding a horse or whatever forward, as it's advancing that way. But transport also is supplies, whether it's sort of strategic level supplies or tactical level supplies. That artillery piece that's on the front line, how does it get its ammo? Because it's only going to have, 100, 200 rounds sort of with it. Well, whether that's being in a wagon towed by a horse or in a back of a truck. Well, how do you get the ammo from, say, the railhead, wherever the rail, wherever you're unloading the ammo is from the rail, to the unit? Well, is it going to be trucks going back and forth, or is it going to be wagons going back and forth? So, and food, your daily food, and all that kind of stuff. You have all that transport. So the primary two transports for the German army were the horse and the railroad. Railroad getting stuff there. Then various motorization stuff, combination of captured and produced and some very high-tech, half-track type things to some very basic truck type transport, including captured stuff of all of that. The Soviets, they, I'm forgetting one of the major truck manufacturers that I know, my friend Mikhail, just sent me 4 photos of them in the 30s from their factory. They made lots of trucks, and they had a lot of American help designing some of their factories and setting up some of their factories in the 30s during the Great Depression. But I think it's mostly, again, not motorized, either on a tactical level, within like the division, or on a strategic level. Well, it's trains. They do lots of trains. They do lots of horses. That is where this game, and though we're going to now see the change in Hearts of Iron 4, and while that's the big exciting thing is they're having railroads, we'll see how good it does. And I was telling them they needed to way back at the start of the thing. I know I wasn't the only one, but the railroad, there was a railroad coming down here on this side of the Volga that allowed them to move enough supplies back and forth, as well as on the Volga itself, that for the Russian counteroffensive, without that Russian counteroffensive wouldn't have happened. So you have to remember railroads are really the key here. And if supply could flow effectively along the railroads, and why don't we have more supply or more infrastructure here? Let's do that. Move this to the top. I know I'm pushing Arno's heavy armor back even more. It's now saying March 43, so we're getting a little closer, but that'll change to delay, diversion, advance. Okay. So how do I put this? Yes, there should be a contiguous front, effectively, on this scale of a game. But the real decision point elements should be who holds the railroads where. And so if you don't hold the railroads, you should very quickly, and you may hold intermittent railroads, but unless you have connected railroads to move supplies through it, you should be very quickly collapsing with what's going on. So particularly on the Eastern Front, it's so different here. The rail density here is so much deeper. It doesn't hardly matter. Yeah, you'll get truck transport through the Ardennes here. And if you're going to do a long-term campaign, you need to come through like Liège and Hasselt or whatever here, and run trains, or some other place. So there are low infrastructure levels that aren't really showing up here so much on the game, a little bit, but for railroads they're that important. So I guess what I'm saying is even the United States, if Germany can hold to the north, and if Germany can hold to the south, and if Germany can sort of allow a bulge to come into here, kind of thing, maybe along the Moselle or the Rhine or whatever, America can't push enough supplies through the Ardennes to sustain a huge long-term campaign. It could do a tactical operation like, again, 1940 or 1944, either Ardennes offensives that the Germans did, but that's different than a strategic long-term major invasion of, say, somebody like Germany. Well, we won here, good. Okay, you come to there as fast as possible. Oh, wait a minute. Well, that's a heavy tank unit. Yeah, no, we're falling back to here. Yeah, a lot of this comes down to logistics. Here, this is somewhat realistic in the sense that there probably too many Soviet units here for sure, but the Soviet Union would have had a difficulty in invading here against, let me qualify this, against a well-equipped and motivated enemy. When the Soviet Union and Britain invaded Iran, Iran just did not have the supply base. They didn't even make their own bullets, people. Iran didn't even make their own pews that go out of the pew. So once they were out of bought ammunition, they were out of whatever war. Hello, Beamslam. How are you doing? I guess you're saying you're fine. Yes, reading down. Good. Gray days can be fun, it's just that there's too many gray days. Well, we have the reinforcements coming, so there they are. And they're moving. Major victory. Okay, good, we're holding here. Where we can get supplies, we're doing okay. Artillery support has advanced, very good. Soft attack. Their clue is to human wave doctrine, so I think that is sure, I think it was one of these. Maybe it was human wave. Grand battle, I don't know. Mechanized breakthrough and exploitation. Good, that will help us. Make sure we're good enough. Yep, lots of problems, lots of supply issues. Our allies ate too much supplies. We're letting them all go home. They weren't very effective. Major defeat, we won there. We lost here. Okay. Okay, guys. Here it happens. Finally, this one province held out for so long. Don't know why it doesn't have worse infrastructure. This, you can see this one province here is a huge province, but it kept all of these others secure from being the flanks being turned. Now their flanks are going to be turned. So let's see about getting out. No. You keep coming down to here. Maybe you can make it in the hills to hold here a little while longer. Okay, they've almost fallen back to there. Well, guys, I think it's going to be... Where do we hold at? Maybe down here. Maybe we can hold here. I don't know. But we've got to start falling back. Yeah, I remember it. Okay, you're actually over in Jutland. Okay. I knew you were in Denmark. Beam Slam. But I probably, I don't know, you may have said before and I just forgot, but I probably just presumed Copenhagen area or something, but... Yeah, we'll see what we can get down here. One, we have to decrease the size of our front line. So I don't know if this hole is worth it, you know, trying to defend in here. Or if we can come back to like this province, or maybe back down to here and here. Yeah, this would probably be better. And that way we could then hold here and here and here. Try to hold here and here. This is mostly just to deny them the oil there, but if not, fall back to there. And if that can't hold, then we come back to down here in Iran. We could probably hold if we can extract our forces out in decent enough intact. Last weekend for a party. Nice to have nightlife again. Very good. Yeah. I think we just have to go back to living our lives. I think, and I'm not going to say it's not bad, but however bad COVID is, I think we just need to go back to living our lives. You know, a year ago or so, what was the thing they were saying? Yeah, 15 days to flatten the curve. You know, people are going to get sick. Lots of them are going to get sick. But we just want to flatten it so we don't overwhelm the hospitals. Now it's like we want to stamp this all out, and it's disrupting our lives too much. You know, and I know people have died from it. God, I know. And I hope none of you die, of course, from it. Whoever, watching now or watching later. But I think we just have to go back to living our lives. Whatever that means. That doesn't mean you have to go to, you know, the most crowded concert in the world and, you know, cough on everybody, but, you know, just go back to doing things more so. Okay, and everyone, and now everyone should make their own choices too. I want to say that too. If you go, don't start. Well, I don't feel comfortable. Yeah, you don't feel comfortable with something, don't do it. You know, whatever it is. If it ain't fun, don't do it. Division headquarters. That is so. Yeah, do okay there. But SS Panzer. Okay. I think we'll let that go. Now that should give us a couple of good things here we want to do. Party rally. Okay, money down, but we'll either cheat more money in or whatnot, because I'm sick of having to pay for some of this crap. But national revolt risk down, daily dissent change, national party support. Yes, we want to do that. Party rally. They did sort of kind of continue these, but not anywhere near the scale of the Nuremberg rallies during the war. Study for this. Just don't know that I want to pull some of those other units off the front line. Well, we're getting some of our infrastructure about ready to come. Is there any more air groups with ground support attacking than you can do? Probably a little better, but than I can do. But we are running sort of out of supplies for some of the stuff, so I'm not pushing that too much. Because down here okay, well, we do have these guys here. Oh, these guys should be up fighting. I don't know why they're not. Okay, that will help. Here, okay, well, let's attack this province. And yeah, I'm playing a lot faster and loose than you should, and than I would like to play with this game. Waiting for these guys to fully withdraw before I start withdrawing. Okay, supply. Oh. Okay, you have some supply here. Good. So what we'll do here, we'll leave the anti-tank one there. We'll move the other one to here to be... no, we'll move the anti-tank one over to here. Where the... yeah. So yeah. Really bad. Yeah, we're not doing well in Finland. Not one little bit. Let's move you. You're a weak unit, but maybe stacked with something else you'll do better. So let's move you up to there. I'm just going to save this again. Yeah, where we can get supplies, we can keep organized and do all right. I've made so many mistakes with this campaign. They've withdrawn just fine out to there, so let's move you to here. Keep coming, keep coming. I don't want these guys to get cut off. Okay, Spain would like to produce Messerschmitt. Sure, go ahead, have fun, knock yourself out. Would you ever do America Let's Play Parts of Iron 3? I would do one. My original plans had been, I don't know why I'm saving so soon after the last save, but my original plans had been to go back and forth between Germany and then another country, and then Germany, and then another country, and but I've been playing a lot of Germany, mostly because I'm testing TRE and wanted to see, or testing for TRE or testing TRE, so we're doing more Germany. The main reason I have less interest than other nations to play the US is it should just be so easy, because you're just the uber power. You just go and conquer everything. We know how to do it. We saw how to do it in World War II, and yeah, we could do some things different, maybe a little better. But presuming a sort of 1941, start time, I don't really know how we get much better than what we had. You keep falling back to there. You fall back to here. Now that we are there, you keep coming back. I mean, okay. You the baddies. Hello, Mein Kampf, who is the baddies. I guess. Yeah, we're playing Germany as the baddies. Okay, here's a question for either somebody in the chat live now or watching later on the standard sort of YouTube segments. What would you do different as America than America did during World War II? Where do you see? I'm not talking about old Mark Clark, when he lands in Anzio down here. He should have pushed hard and fast for Rome, and he should have. I think that's clear. And I'm not talking about a tactical kind of thing like, yeah, he should have pushed faster. Yeah, that's a mistake. And he thought he was going to be facing a much stronger enemy, and he gave the enemy time to get in there and face what he ended up facing was what he expected to face, a tough German opponent. But they just weren't there at the time of landing and able to push in. And he was able to fight his way out of Anzio. So yeah, I wouldn't call him a bad general, just one that, the unknown around him was something that he didn't want to risk pushing into. But so not something like that that's sort of tactical, but sort of strategy. How would you have done differently? They need to be nuked. The Soviet, yes, need to be checked. Sure, we should. If we had nukes, we would use it. So what would be different than sort of doing the sort of standard World War II play of, action as the U.S.? Okay, there. Okay, no, you withdraw to there. You just withdraw there because these guys are almost there. They'll help hold. They'll help hold there. Soviet Union play was actually going to be before I got to the American play. I think you guys, especially those who have watched, know I'm very much an anti-Nazi. I do not have sympathy for totalitarianism. I don't have sympathy for their racism. I'm just against either one of those ideas. But Nazi Germany and Hitler fascinate me. Okay, I'm fascinated with, uniform details and history details and all that kind of stuff with Nazi Germany. Doesn't mean I like it. I'm just fascinated by it. Um, Sort of like one archaeologist who was on the main sort of guy that was on Time Team. No, not yeah, Time Team, the archaeology show in Britain. Mick, he was fascinated with monasteries and monks and whatever, but he was an atheist. I think that's part of his reason of his fascination was was something that he is not, and I don't know if it's quite the same with me, but not pro-Nazi. Yes, I am an American, if that's what you're asking. I thought it was maybe not to everybody, I guess, but apparent by my accent. One ID. Okay, get to that in a second. So, I hate communism. I mean, as much or more than Nazism. Nazism is evil and bad. Just communism is worse. Kills more people. It's worse. And yeah, they don't. The Soviets don't really have all the cool different uniforms to study, because the Reichsbahn, the railway group, has their own sets of uniforms, including Reichsbahn police and just Reichsbahn, ticket takers and whatnot. There's all kinds of uniforms and all kinds of interesting stuff to study with Nazi Germany. They just don't really have that kind of stuff to study for the Soviet Union. So it's just not nearly as interesting to me as the Soviet Union. So it's a combination of hatred and just not enough stuff to be terribly interested. That doesn't mean I don't get the idea of the challenge of trying to hold back the invading German hordes, if you will, and that's more of a challenge. I see it then as how is America to defeat the Soviet Union? I mean, not Soviet. Well, yeah, that too, but defeat Nazi Germany. But let's see what beams up. One idea springs to mind is about U.S. strategy might have invaded the south of France in 43 instead of going all the way up Italy. Yes, that is an interesting idea. I wonder how the war would have looked if that would have happened. Yes, the Soviets just had anoraks. Yeah, I mean, the Soviets are just sloppy dressers. Yeah, you do have some parade uniforms that are made, but it's just not, you don't have that pageantry that Germany had. Pageantry, I guess if it's voluntary, meaning it's not enforced upon you, is cool. Dress up for the parade, for the circus, for whatever, cool. But I don't like totalitarianism, so I'm, have no sympathy for it. But I do have an interest in Hitler in multiple ways, including how he comes to power and all of that kind of stuff. So all that's sort of interesting to me. So that's why I'm interested in the modding for Germany. Though I have Mikhail sending me all kinds of stuff, I could easily create a Soviet mod. It just takes time. And also the other problem with the Soviet Union is I can not that I understand the German words, but I can read the German words. And sort of get the sounds like Mein Kampf. But if you were to start putting up Cyrillic writing, I'm at a total loss. So there's less. It's harder for me to look into the Soviets than into Western language based stuff like German, like French, like whatever. I mean, it's as hard as, and I took 3 years of Japanese, but it's as hard as Japanese or Chinese trying to decipher it. So I just don't have, those are the sort of three things. Hard to research for me, in depth. I mean, sure, I like a book, Hitler versus Stalin. It was sort of comparing the leadership between Hitler and Stalin and whatnot, and the war sort of, and the two different sort of countries kind of thing. The two individuals, the sort of two different war systems, not political systems, as well as sort of the fighting at the front. And so, yeah, books written in English, and I've read a bunch that cover the Soviet Union and watched a huge number of documentaries that are, sort of Soviet based that have been made. So I know about it. It's just not as easy for me to get into it and dig deep like I do for Germany or something like that. Oh, these guys finally made it out here. Okay, well, guess we can put you under that. Who's your commander? Okay. He's the one that's running those guys. Well, I guess I'll just sit here for the moment. These are the Indian regiments. Okay. let's talk about this a little bit. South of France. Okay. I love the fleet Bertot's Imperial System and 9/11 stores there. Bomb. I mean, evil is not a contest of who kills more people. Yeah, partially it is. Partially it is. I think leveling, as in communism, as in everybody should be equal, is an evil system because it does not allow for the humans to achieve their individual abilities. It's sort of like, okay, we're going to run a race, but no one can go faster than anybody else around the track. We're all going to move at the same speed because we're all equal here, kind of thing. So I think communism is evil. Now you may go, well, racism is evil, gamer, it's more evil or something. Well, yes, it's evil, but is it more evil? And you have to, if you're a Nazi, Nazis believed that they were doing this for the good of mankind. That's what they believed. They weren't. It wasn't good for the mankind, but they believed in eugenics, and it's sort of like those, some people, Khan Nomi and Singh of, Star Trek, the eugenics wars and the sort of uber human, the superior human. Nazis wanted to genetically, as they understood genetics as a, I don't think we understand genetics today, but we understand it so much more than they did. But through breeding genetics, they wanted to breed better humans and get rid of sick humans. You have people today wishing other people would die so that they don't spread COVID. Like, those guys aren't wearing masks. They're super spreaders. They should just die. Well, that's what the Nazis thought. That's what, the people that wish to demonize somebody, well, that person is spreading COVID. Well, if he knows he's sick and he's going around other people, yeah. But if you don't think you're sick, that's no worse than what in people want them to die or want them to be locked up in camps. That's no worse. It's modern Nazism. These people, like in Australia and other places, and some of you people may agree, and I know some of Italy, it was hit hard with COVID. God, I know, but this is going to get me demonetized, I guess. I don't know. And I recently had an old video jerked for hate speech. And I went for the appeal, and because I didn't watch every moment of it, but I skipped through it, and I didn't see any, because I didn't know no major lecture, so I don't know. It was just me invading Norway in Hearts of Iron 4. I think it was the historical music that was playing from, that Paradox included, Deutschland über alles, or was it Panzerlied, or I don't know. But I'm not sure why it was jerked. I mean, not just demonetized, I mean removed for hate speech, but okay. Yes, if you know you're sick, you shouldn't, if you know you have AIDS, you shouldn't have sex with anybody or let your needles, if you're an IV drug user, or just if you take drugs with needles, not dangerous drugs, I mean like medicine drugs. You shouldn't, share needles if you have AIDS, okay? We know this. It used to be a crime to do so in California. Now, hey, no, it's no longer a crime to, if you know you have AIDS and you have sex with somebody, it's no longer a crime in California. Because, hey, gay people have gay rights. But, so yeah, if you know you have COVID and you're spreading it, and you knowingly do so, that's bad. But all the people, make your own choices about masks and about vaccines, and the unvaccinated, they need to be vaccinated. They should just die because they're going to kill me. Well, that's what the Nazis believed about genetics. They thought these genetically inferior people, sometimes like people with Down syndrome, and other people, like Jews, were maybe not killing that one individual now immediately, but killing the race, killing the uplift of the race. That's what they believe. I don't believe that. This is, I'm talking about them. So the Nazis, they thought they were trying to help humanity by getting rid of the inferior that were going to be useless eaters, be spreaders, continuing, spreading their genetic material, having sex and babies, around the world. And they were trying to clean up the human race, or at least the European portion of the human race. I don't know that they ever really cared about Africa or whatever. Just let that go wallow in its mire or something. But clean up they thought they were fighting this war against evil disease. Okay? That's what comes down to the heart and soul of Nazism. There's more to it than just that. And so if communism is totalitarianism, because it's collectivism and it's not individualism, so it's totalitarianism, and Nazism is totalitarianism, so those are both equally evil. The Nazis wanted to medically improve humanity, and the communists want to make everyone equally bad, or they might think equally good. Now, I understand and I understand why, Marx was wrong. Okay, Marx was wrong about history, and he was a historian, and his historical dialectic. He was wrong about that. He was wrong that economics was the primary motivator for human activity, endeavors. I think it's ideology, whether that ideology is religion or other things, political, like economic ideologies or religious, religious wars. I don't think it's economics. Economics just facilitates. It makes, one side more victorious over the other, but it's not why things are happening. So Marx is wrong in his dialectic. Marx is wrong in his motivations for actions of humanity, and Marx is wrong in his ideology of fairness. Fairness is not equality is not fairness. And so Marx is wrong on all this stuff, but yes, I understand in the 19th century when you have people starving in the streets of London or the streets of Moscow, and you have elites drinking out of an expensive glass and then throwing it in the fireplace, so they're using it once and throwing it away kind of thing. Maybe not every day all the time, but for special toasts and whatever, when these are expensive glasses, drinking glasses that they're throwing away. And so when you have people starving, yeah, that's sort of a bad system because you're failing a large portion of your population. Now, that doesn't mean art shouldn't exist, even in a world in which there are people that can't afford it, but still you could do better management of your society. And so I understand why, especially in the 19th century, or especially in the third world, Marxism has, flourished, because they see elites and they see really poor people that don't, I've been poor in my life. There's nothing wrong with being poor, and having poor people. What is bad is people who don't have enough food, people who don't have a home to live in, people who can't afford the general, basic, not even necessities, but just basic minimal comforts of life, like being able in a Western society, owning a basic level of computer, or something like that. But now most people have a cell phone. There's a little computer. So being poor in the West, mostly. I mean, there's truly poor people. Now, a lot of them, there's a lot of street people where I live here in Southern California. There are a lot of their they're often caused by drugs, but they're into the mental illness phase. And we allow them to live on streets instead of forcing them into, we used to, but we passed laws in the U.S. to keep them from being forced into medical, psychological medical treatment. It's voluntary unless they're a danger to themselves or others. Otherwise, it's voluntary. And if they don't want to go to medical facilities and take medicine, we just allow them on the streets. That's why you find these homelessness. Most of them are things like that. There's reasons for it. I'm not saying they should be there. I'm just saying there's reasons for it. And it is not because, I mean, they can't function in a job. So yeah, it's that economically, but it's not because we don't have jobs for them. We need more people working in Southern California. Most businesses have a help wanted sign, but they're not going to get a crack addict or a meth addict to come and work in their, I'm not saying a recovering person, who's off of it. I'm saying a person who's currently on it. They're not going to get them to come and work in their fast food restaurant. But we have the jobs to employ them. It is not an economic reason. Most of the people are homeless in California. It is a social, medical kind of reason. Mental health, drug addiction is a medical situation. I'm not trying to blame. They obviously went down this path. I wish we had a better system to help them. I'm not trying to throw the people out. It's a whole nother thing. So Marxism is evil in that it's leveling, it's all this stuff, and it kills millions of people. Nazism is evil because it wants to kill off what it sees as diseased genetically, but they would also do it to people who have other diseases too, to kill off people. So I see both very evil, and communism as a greater evil than Nazism. Let's read some of the chat. I've been sort of focused on this. Too bad there may be a copycat somewhere around the web. Okay, I guess it's cheap on Streamer GOG. Yeah, you can look and get it sometimes very cheap for some sales, Arno. Put it on your wish list and buy one on sale. Absolutely, Beam Slam. Yeah. So, yeah, that's sort of why I see communism as more evil. But this is one thing that I want to say very much that I try to do. I mean, sometimes I'm just playing a game for fun, but streaming, though it didn't go over very well, I really enjoyed playing Warhammer 40K Battle Sector, or, just playing something like that. But what I really try to do with my channel here is historical lessons, or lessons from history. Not so much, lessons from history, not so much the details. And we do talk about, historical details, talking about a particular battle, or earlier, like we're talking about the historical oil situation in Dutch East Indies at the time. Yeah, but it's more the lessons from history, whether it's good lessons or bad lessons, the evils of the Nazis, evils of the communists, or whatever. It's not so much the particular details of a particular thing. It's more the lessons to be learned from history. That is what I try to focus on with these series and whatnot, so that people understand why I think it is good or bad. Because, like saying now about the COVID situation and either unvaccinated people, because hey, if the vaccine works, then what do you care if somebody's unvaccinated? You won't get it. Oh, well, they're finding out the vaccine may not work, but if you get it, it makes you not as sick. Okay, good. So it sort of works. Well, if it sort of works, but people don't want to take it because it doesn't really work, why are you upset? People don't want to wear masks and they're not visibly, coughing and seeming to be sick. Don't worry about it, people. Now you go, well, but you might catch it. Well, stay away from people. Your freedom is important. And so, because I see us moving more towards tyranny for the good reasons of protecting people from disease. And I see we're moving towards it again. And so, you have a lot of racism in the world. A lot of racism. Most of it outside of the Western world. You don't think the Chinese and the Japanese are racist? You don't think the Vietnamese and the Vietnamese have always looked down on their Montagnard, because the Vietnamese, I believe, are basically more or less Han Chinese types that have moved coastally into Vietnam and have, over the generations, formed their own stuff, where the Montagnards is sort of a French term, but the mountain peoples were the more, if you will, indigenous people. I mean, the Vietnamese are now indigenous to Vietnam, but earlier settled peoples there. The Vietnamese look down on the Montagnards as being inferior racially. Then you have the Kramer peoples and the Thais, and they're all racist against each other. They're racist against like Africans and other groups. So there's a lot of stuff like that going on in the world. And whether it looks like Nazism or whether it looks like you see in Russia and Ukraine sort of neo-Nazis, but Slavs that are trying to, be superior, I'm trying to tell people why these ideologies are bad, why they should not be followed, whether you use a swastika or some other symbol for your thing, your group. And yeah, that's sort of why I do all this stuff. I think you don't understand how vaccine works. Vaccines will give you a certain... No, I know how vaccines work on the basics of it. I don't, maybe, yeah. The real vaccine, which is different than what we recently get, they give you some dead, non-replicating elements of the virus, meaning it doesn't replicate, into your body. Your body reacts to it. Sometimes you feel sick, you sort of are sick, but you didn't catch whatever, and your body learns to fight it off. And so when you get exposed to the active versions of the flu or whatever, it knows how to fight it off, and it just fights it off. That's how vaccines work. The current stuff we see, because of the changing fast mutation into the D variant, the earlier vaccines aren't protecting you from the D variant. But supposedly, if you have the vaccine, and I don't know if this is true or not, but supposedly if you have the vaccine, you suffer less worse severeness of having it because your body has sort of learned how to fight off a version of it, maybe. I don't know. I agree with you on that, Gamer. Vaccines are useful for those at risk of dying and should be voluntary for the rest of us. Absolutely, Beam Slam. I mean, they should be, I understand some, there are some vaccines that are more or less required in Western society that are much more established and much longer tested vaccines. But even there in the U.S., there were religious exemptions or are religious exemptions that you could file for, and not have your kid vaccinated for some of the stuff. And because there are some communities in America, some are like the Amish that I mean, they sort of semi-isolate themselves, but they don't take vaccines, or at least not the COVID one. They just let it come through their community, and then those that survive. And it's a religious ideology. And others that are much more intermixed within society, meaning they don't separate themselves out by wearing different clothing or only, using horse and buggies and not driving automobiles or whatever. So there's different religious groups and there's different reasons. And that you can still get infected. Vaccines are not barriers to avoid getting infected. Yeah, I know, but it's just, you have to, I'm for liberty. Everybody has a vaccine to eradicate a disease. Here in Denmark, it is 98, but it's still voluntary and no one is forced, and I like that. Yeah, I'm still not vaccinated. I prefer to keep safe in other ways now. Yeah, Beam Slam, and I know I've talked about, I have a situation with blood clots, and I'm concerned about the vaccine because it's known to give you blood clots. Now, of course, COVID is known to give you blood clots, so I'm concerned about it. So I go to the grocery store, I go to the fast food store, and I don't like to go through. Well, I don't like sitting in my car waiting in for multiple reasons, waiting in line to go there. So I walk in, but I'm not going to go to a big concert where I get pushed up against random individuals that I can't easily step back from, kind of thing. So I'm not hanging out with large crowds of people. Not that I went to lots of concerts prior. I mean, I've been to a bunch of concerts in my life, but I hadn't in the last 4 or 5 years. But before this whole thing started. So not like I'm giving up something I was doing a lot. But yeah, I'm not going out and being as social as I used to. I used to work as a bouncer and whatnot. I mean, this is long ago now, but where you can get it. So yeah, if you have a problem, like I'm sort of not going to places where you would need a bouncer, meaning that there's a big enough crowd. I'm staying away from it. And so, yeah, it's just this forced element is a problem, and it's the same problem of saying, and you go, well, it's not responsible. Okay, people can be irresponsible. Okay, people get to be irresponsible. People can go run around in traffic, and we give them tickets for it, but we let them run around in traffic. Like just go walk in traffic. The policeman will pull them, give them a ticket, but they get to do it, and they'll give them another ticket. People can be irresponsible. Just the way life is. Life ain't safe. Base game is €10, but the collection version is, yeah or no. But just watch. On some of the big sales that Paradox will do, and sometimes if you watch the Paradox website for Hearts of Iron 4, you can get it super cheap because they dump, because if you buy it on Paradox's website, they'll still give you the Steam code because they distribute it through Steam, but they don't have to give Steam a cut of the sales. See, Steam gets a big cut when you buy it on Steam. That's one of the reasons they do big sales when you buy it just on the Paradox website, whatever game, because they don't have to give the 30% that Steam takes, but they still generate a code to let you download it and play it on Steam. It's just, and part of the reason that, there's multiple reasons that Steam gets 30%, which is super high in my opinion. But part of the reason is, like, if you don't like the game and you want to charge back, oh, the game isn't working on my computer, give me my money back. Steam handles all that. But if you get the code from Paradox has to handle all of, like, returns on the game or whatever. Or you got any complaints, you go to Paradox for that, not through Steam. But you still get downloaded from Steam. So just watch the sales, and you'll be able to get a pretty decent sale on the thing some point. Don't need those vehicles and uniform packs. Yeah, oh yeah, you don't need the vehicles and uniform packs because those are for 3D sprites. You just want to get what you want to get is the base game, For the Motherland, Their Finest Hour, and Semper Fi. Those are the 3 DLCs that you need, and the base game. That's it. You don't need all the vehicle packs. You don't need the other cool, but because I recommend playing Black Ice, you don't need Gata Damarang and some of the other nice DLCs from D-Day back in the day. But yeah, you can just get the basic game. And the 3 main DLCs. That's all you need for Hearts of Iron. Well, I think we're going to end this episode here. I want to thank you all for watching. Thanks for liking the videos. And again, I want to thank Toyjet, Chief, the Hoffmanator. I'm sure I'm forgetting a few others that have supported me over on Patreon. But everybody else, now that we're sort of done, can you watch it again, but you can turn the sound off and minimize it so you don't have to repeat it that way. So thank you, everyone.